Hi, welcome to the Andrew Buckle book review of Marvel Team Up Essentials Volume 1. Now, unfortunately, this is not available as yet in Epic or Omnibus edition. You can get them in Marvel Masterworks. Why isn't there an Omnibus? Now, you can get them in separate little appearances, but not many. Obviously, not in a complete row. Lots of different stories. You've got the Hulk, Doctor Strange, Captain Marvel, Fantastic Four, X-Men, loads of people, Human Torch, and also well as Spider-Man and... Now, I always got slightly annoyed it was always Spider-Man and I think other characters should have had, you should have Moondragon and Squirrel Girl or something like that. Why not? But still, all in black and white, all the way through. And it's full of some really good stories, real quirky ones. Now, most of them are separate from the actual general Marvel universe. Some stories do continue on, where like Daredevil or something, you've got other stories. Though you don't get to see those, unfortunately, here, which would have been nice, but it doesn't. It just got the stories Spider-Man, the Marvel Team Up 1 to 24. First one, a lovely Christmas tale with the Sandman. Have yourself a Sandman little Christmas. Now, there's not much Christmas-wise. It was in the Treasury edition, one of the Christmas holiday issues. I love that story. Really great to see. And there's Sandman sort of going. It's very nice little Christmas sentiment at the end, but not much Christmas all the way through it, which is a pity. Would have been really good. But still, Spider-Man and the Human Torch again. Now, there was about 3 stories in a row, Spider-Man and Human Torch. I suppose if you were buying this when it first came out, you probably felt, well, hang on, are these stories always going to be those? But it didn't happen that way. You've got here good old Wizard and Trapster, my favourite, and Sandman again, trapped by the Frightful Four. Well, Frightful 3 at this point, because the Medusa had gone, of course, and all new action. And it's good. And Spidey makes 4. Because that's a story carried on from one that was with the Thing back in the Frightful 4 days as well. So that's good. Next one is the Morbius story. Oh, you've also got good old, is that the story with that? Yes, Annihilus. One of my favourite characters turns up in Marvel Team Up 2. Then you've got Marvel Team Up and Morbius. No, it's not, obviously. Once more, Morbius. Pretty good story. But the best one was for me, X-Men. Spider-Man and X-Men. Really good one and great artwork as well. Gil Kane, one of my favourite artists. I really love anything Gil Kane. Generally, as soon you can always tell Gil Kane's style as well. Completely different from the previous issues. But you've got Spider-Man. Now, this one appears in the Epic collection that accumulates all the stories that were in between. However, looking through this, weirdly, and I'm going to point it out later, there was an X-Men story later on that's not included anywhere. It's been forgotten about. I was thinking, why wasn't that included in the Epic collection of all the stories in between the old and the new? Very strange. But these ones were. You also got the Vision one. Very odd story there. Actually, the next story was really good. I loved... Oh, no, that's the Puppet Master. And the Mad Thinker. Two great characters. Spider-Man and the Thing. It's obviously still carrying on obviously a Fantastic Four theme. Actually saying that, the previous one was a Vision. So they had a Vision story. But they had the great X-Men one. I love that one. Really 2 favourite stories, the X-Men story. Got number 6. Then you go on to a Thor one. And that's a good one. The Thor one. And let's just go to the next one. The Cat. Now, Cat didn't have many appearances. There was Beware the Claws of the Cat. Issue 1 to 4. I think 1 to 3, 1 to 4, whatever, something like that. Still, this is also a Marvel Team Up, which is really nice to actually continue. Obviously, Tigra later on, but it still would have been nice if that series had continued for a lot longer, but it didn't. Now, you've also got here Spider-Man and the Invincible Iron Man. Nice little tale there. But the thing is, it's got Kang. So you've got Kang in the story. It's got a nice, and it's also got an old villain that I must admit I completely forgotten about. Well, I haven't forgotten about him. I always felt that he should have had more chances. He's not very good. But Zarko, the Tomorrow Man, I always felt he was a sort of like the precursor to Kang. So it was nice that they actually included the story. And I'm just quickly looking to find him. Always the way when you try and look for... Oh, here he is. Good old Tomorrow Man. So he does turn out, of course, he was battling Thor before. Now he's battling Kang. And this story continued for quite a bit. He went through quite a few adventures. You had again the Human Torch, and then Spider-Man and the Inhumans, and that continued to decay. So it was 3 stories as a run, which is really a nice little tale with Kang. Okay. Now Kang, for some weird reason, is a lot less of a Kang than he usually is. He's a bit of a, in comparison. Still, next one, Werewolf. Werewolf by Night. An interesting story because they've actually got Spidey going to San Francisco. Sort of a nice little crossover between him and Daredevil. I think it was around about issue 99, that sort of Ramrod, 103, that sort of period. And actually that's one of the stories that, I don't know if that was included in another one. But you've got here Spider-Man and Captain America. You've got that. Grey Gargoyle. Actually, when I'm going through this, there's so many villains that are sort of... I'm surprised that Mole Man... I think Mole Man is in here, I think. So you've got Mole Man, but you've got the Grey Gargoyle. They really wheeled out... I don't know why they didn't bring Spider-Man and Ant-Man, Spider-Man and Giant Man, and bring in good old... a few of my other favourite characters. But they've also... Oh, this is a great one with old Gil Kane again. I love Gil Kane's work. Always. This one with Spider-Man and Savage Submariner. Because he was called the Savage Submariner at this point. And it was a good little tale. And you've got Tiger Shark and Dr. I think it's Dorcas, I think his name. Good old Dr. Dorcas. Oh, this one's a weird one, the Orb one with the Ghost Rider. So you've got here Spider-Man and the Ghost Rider. That's a real good tale. And you've got here Spider-Man there. Spider-Man, reach out, grab my hand, blah, blah, blah. It's too late, etc. Oh, there's Mole Man. Oh, this was what? Another one that was weird. Recently, I just got the omnibus edition, and I might be wrong, and I'm quite certain that this was not included in the Captain Marvel omnibus edition. And I don't know why. Spider-Man and Captain Marvel, because this is issue 16, and you've got obviously Gil Kane, brilliant bit of artwork, but that was not included. I'm quite certain, unless I missed it completely. Might be wrong on that. But again, Spider-Man and Mr. Fantastic, of course, carrying on the sort of storylines of Human Torch, etc. This time Mr. Fantastic. And another one of my favourites, Mole Man. Good old Mole Man. And that sort of continues on with the, I think it's got the Basilisk stuff. Very strange. But it was a good story. That was the Captain Marvel story, continued on there. But again, maybe that's why they didn't include it. Because they would have had to include two stories. Because of the Captain Marvel one. Maybe that's the reason they didn't put it in. But still, it's just odd that they didn't include it. But you got Mr. Fantastic there. And the next one is the Hulk one. I remember getting that one. Human Torch and Hulk. I love these stories when they did it Human Torch and Hulk. And I wish they had done that more often. Sort of if they'd sort of done a Human Torch and blah, blah, blah. Human Torch and Iceman. Human Torch and Cyclops. Human Torch and Jean Grey or whatever. But they didn't. Where burst the bomb. And it actually has another one of my favourite characters. I've got a few sort of lists of villains that I just think are really the worst villains. And this one is one of my favourites again. Blaster. Really just terrible character. And that's the thing. It's not so. It's just that sometimes you've got some that you just think, really? They've never been fleshed out. I mean, what does Blaster do all the time? All he keeps going on is, but I'm Blaster. Just one of the... I suppose they haven't reduced him to I am Groot kind of thing. Just I am Blaster. Just keep saying it over and over again. The Unstoppable, whoever he is. This one's a good one. Stegron, the Dinosaur Man. It's nice to see Kazar again in the stories. It was lovely because, of course, Spidey was with Kazar. I can't remember which issues, but there was Ramita period. They had a lovely story Kazar as well, so that was great. Then that's another little sort of continue. They did a few of these where they continued from one story to the next. So they had opportunity to Reed Richards, and then the next story it was Black Panther or something, or Kazar. And then you got here Spider-Man and Black Panther. That's a continuation of the previous story. And you got old Spidey there, great little bit there, Stegron. Sort of a bit of a cut down version of another character that I can think of. This is a great one. Marvel Team Up, number 21, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange. And it's the Xandu the Unspeakable. Good old Unspeakable. Oh, I won't speak about him at all now. However, it's the Wand of Watum. And it's Doctor Strange and Spidey, of course. And it's a continuation, apparently, of a story from Doctor Strange 179. I must admit, I can't remember that bit of the story. But the one story I do remember, Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 2. Really great story. And this is continued, but it's really good old... Still, the next story, Hawkeye. Good old Hawkeye. And Spider-Man and Hawkeye. Number 22. And some nondescript sort of robots on the front cover. However, the story I really want to mention, which is the story that baffles me when I was going through this, Marvel Team Up, Human Torch. It's great that they actually included these sort of ones. I wish they'd done more Human Torch and sort of story, and Moondragon, Human Torch and Squirrel Girl, or whatever. But Iceman. Now, this story, they did have a Human Torch Iceman story in the Strange Tales back in the day, back in the 60s. But this one's Gil Kane, brilliant bit of art. But for some weird reason, it's the one story, and maybe there's some other stories, it's missing from the Epic collection. There's a story, Epic collection, coming, which one was, volume 7, I think, where it's between the original X-Men and the new X-Men. Might be a different volume. But still, this story, for some weird reason, and I just looked, just checked, is not included. It's weird. Why isn't it's got all these X-Men? Obviously, just this was the in-between bit. It doesn't have the Beast, of course, but it has got the X-Men, and it's just plain odd that it's been forgotten about. Maybe at some point someone will update those volumes and put that story in. Maybe there's some others. I always keep thinking, I wonder if they'll find some more stories that they just sort of tucked away. Oh, by the way, we had X-Men in Captain Savage at this point. We've just completely forgotten about. Or Sergeant Fury or something. And Millie the Model. Millie the Model had appearance with the X-Men. Unlikely. But still, good story with Gil Kane. And Spider-Man and Brother Voodoo. Real good story. I remember guessing this when it came out. I thought, what dramatic cover that was. That was a very... And I loved a bit here. Dave Bugle. And he's, of course, graffitiing poor old Jonah Jameson. As always. I always love the fact that his newspaper always had... Look at that. Massive Jameson publisher. Really? Do people put that on their top of it's a bit over the top. But still, great little story. And that is that for the Marvel Team Up Essential Edition. It's great. I've got most of the stories in colour in my Marvel Masterwork ones on my Kindle. I don't know, I've got 4 volumes. I don't know how far that goes up. But this one went for 3 volumes, I think. I don't think there was a 4th volume of that. I would love to see an Epic collection of these coming out. Also, I'd love to. I think there's a Marvel 2-in-1 Epic Volume 2 finally coming out. It's taken a long time for that to come out, so that'll be another one to get at some point. But no Marvel Team Up, which is very odd. Now, I've also just ordered the Tomorrow's Team Up book, Team Up Companion. A lot of people have been writing me saying, oh, that's a really good book. So I thought, I must buy it. It does look very good, so I'm getting a copy fairly soon of that. So I'll be doing a review of that book as well. But this one, I just love it. Absolutely great stories all the way through. Some very unusual ones. Lots of really creaky villains, I must admit. I'm surprised. Well, I know Mole Man's in it. Good old Mole Man. A Tumour isn't in it. Weirdly, a Tumour. But at least you've got Tomorrow Man. You've got Grey Gargoyle. Anyway, Marvel Team Up. An excellent little edition. Until, of course, they come out with the Epics or the Omnibus edition. This and Marvel Masterworks. Of course, I always forget Marvel Masterworks. I don't know why. Lots of people I know love those ones, but I think this is great, this one. So totally recommended.